Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Daily Devo. My name's Mike, and today we're going to talk about what we're afraid of. Hey, welcome to the Daily Devo. Today we're talking about Elijah. And Elijah's a guy who did some incredible things under the power of God. But then he found himself in a situation where some people were after him. Some people didn't like how God had used him, and he became afraid. And it says this in verses 3 and 4 of 1 Kings chapter 19. Verse 3 says, Elijah was afraid and fled for his life. And then just a couple phrases later in verse 4, it says this, then he went alone into the wilderness. You see, in our lives, we place our faith in countless people and countless things. We believe our legs will support us, so we get up and we stand up in the morning when we get out of bed. We believe the brakes in our car, they're gonna enable our car to stop. So we drive up to an intersection, not really thinking about it. We believe our boss is gonna pay us. So we show up for the job and we just anticipate our paycheck will be in our bank account on the date that's been agreed. And when we have faith in something, our behavior is affected. We act out of faith in life. And the opposite of faith is fear. You see, when you and I act out of fear, our behavior is affected. See, we can choose one or the other in our life. And I believe Elijah, he chose to act out of fear. I mean, imagine a world where car brakes only worked half the time. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be at every intersection? Like you'd still have to drive, but you'd pull up not knowing what's gonna happen. And it seems like this. It seems like our idea of faith ends just beyond our ability. It seems like so often in our life, we have faith, we believe in God, we know he can work, but we also like control. And Elijah was no exception. You see, things were going amazing. God was using him. Then suddenly, people were after him. There was an ecosystem of fear that came around him. These people that were mad at him, he became afraid of them and he fled for his life. So today I have two thoughts for us. First, when you're afraid, choose faith in Jesus. Remind yourself that when you lose control is just where God begins to have full control. The second thing I believe we can learn from Elijah today is that we can observe that fear will chase you and I into alone wildernesses if we don't face it. Fear will scream. Fear will drive you to a place of isolation, to a place of darkness, a place of feelings and thoughts that are without people to help you walk through those things if you give power to that fear. You see, Elijah, he was afraid for his life and he fled alone into the wilderness. You know this, that 365 times in scripture, God encourages us to not be afraid, to fear not. So today I want to ask you, what's chasing you into a wilderness? What has that four-letter word of fear grabbing a hold of you and driving you into a place that you're alone? This morning, take that to Jesus. Talk to God about that relationship that's rough. Talk to God about that bad habit that you're struggling with. Talk to God about that medical struggle, that medical report that's up in the air. God is close by. God cares today, and his life that he has planned for you is one that is not of fear.